Welcome back to Sunrise Daily, continuing our focus on the developments within the People's Democratic Party over the convention that held. Well, we're joined this morning by Dr. Doyin Okupe, who was a former aide to the former president. Good morning and thank you for joining us today. Well, already there are many who say that your group violated the court's order by electing co-chair. They wonder who presided over that meeting in the first instance.
Thank you very much. We did not violate any court order because we already, prior to the convention, we already put together a steering committee to run the affairs of the party, the PDP. And even from inception, we had two co-chairmen, Senator Ibrahim Mantu and Professor Tunde Adeniro. They had always been there, so it wasn't anything new. What just happened on a convention day was a public declaration, a reaffirmation of a status quo.
So if you held that convention to reaffirm the status quo, doesn't that go against the spirit of the judgment that says, look, make sure that those key positions, nothing is declared whatsoever?
I've just told you that prior to the convention, we had a structure in place because we believed that the Sheriff-led National Working Committee had expired and it was an illegal contraption. So technically and under the law, in the face of the law, there was a vacancy in the leadership, of the PDP. So we put together a steering committee led by two gentlemen, Professor Adeniro and Ibrahim Mantu. That, we advertised that. Even the invitation to our meeting on Wednesday, 2 weeks before the convention, clearly stated that. We didn't do anything new.
So who leads the party now?
Presently, the structure is still being, is still the same. The party is being led by a coalition, that of people, stakeholders, in the steering committee, under the leadership of a collegiate, headed by Ibrahim Mantu and Professor Tunde Adeniro.
Did you have several members of the National Assembly and governors attend that convention that you held?
What we had was a massive representation of major stakeholders in the party. The former governors, former ministers, former chairmen of parastatals, former legislators. You must understand from the point of view of current legislators and serving legislators that the law, had, the position of the law, was forbidding. So, if there's a split in the party, until, that becomes an official thing, they must not be seen to be under particular circumstances that may jeopardize their position.
As it is now, because the question Chamberlain popped out to you now will make people wonder who Mr. McCarthy is to the PDP at the moment. Well,
you must understand from my point of view, we had never recognized the process that led to the emergence of Ali Modu Sheriff as chairman. We disagree with the powers that did not exist, which the National Executive Committee of the party exercised by prolongation of their tenure, and every other action consequent upon that structure, including the congresses and the National Convention ultimately scheduled in Port-Harcourt, were all a nullity. They do not stand before the law. So that has been our position. So the McCarthy-led committee is still also a product of that contraption. But, it is politics. We are politicians. And we love our party. We do not want the party to scatter. Presently, the PDP is still, even though we have lost an election to APC, APC is is not a political association as such. It is a conglomeration of various groups of political tendencies. They still do not have a party. They are not strong on the ground. There are many places where they do not exist. PDP is the only party in Nigeria that has a culture, a tradition, a record of performance. Yes, we have some issues. There are evidences of some of our people who have exhibited embarrassing corruption and all that. But that is what it takes in human organization, etc. So coming from this background and having this type of apparatus, political apparatus, which if enacted tomorrow will drown the party in government. So we cannot dream of wanting to make the party non-existent or scatter. We can't.
Could you then tell us, because, I mean, you've heard many of them, those who attended the one in Port-Harcourt say, well, several INEC officials attended their own meeting. Why do you think that is the case?
Chamberlain, INEC officials, what do? They just, the officers are to officiate, not really officiate, to observe and to give legitimacy. The real legitimacy does not come from INEC. The real legitimacy of a political formation or organization is from the people. It is, all these are just unnecessary indulgence and political masturbation. The real issue at hand is, where is the soul of this party? That is the question. And where does the power in this party reside? Is it with a few, or is it with many, or is it with the people? The Abuja Convention, the Abuja Convention's vision totally, completely aligns with the vision of the founding fathers. And what is it? What you're saying is that let us bring Nigerians together under one umbrella that is safe, that is strong, but where equity and justice shall prevail. So, it is not a matter of the legitimacy of a political organization is measured by the people who support it. Not just even within the political organization itself, but within the nation at large. Politicians are making an error. Politicians believe that Nigerian people do not have a choice. That's not true. That politicians also erroneously assume that they only have the franchise to power and leadership. That is also not true, as evinced by many things that we have seen in the past. You recollect that during Obasanjo's second term, the entire of the Southwest, which was previously ruled by the opposition party, was wiped off, except Lagos. And more recently, in 2015, a standing government, a sitting government that that belongs to a political party that has been entrenched for 16 years, was wiped off. So we don't have this indulgence of just assuming and grandstanding. The Nigerian people are watching. So whether you have a certificate or you have an endorsement of INEC, INEC will only count the votes. If people do not believe in you, you are a nobody and you are not in any place.
Yeah, even though we understand that they're just there to observe, tell us, your convention, were there members of INEC there to observe?
I didn't see any.
And perhaps you should be able to tell maybe some other party members why your headquarters is under lock and key, or...
Well, I think that is just to prevent anarchy and descent to chaos, because the status quo has been uprooted. The chairman and his working committee, as of Saturday 21st, did not exist anymore, and you can understand that unless there's the chairman has also mentioned, or during a press conference he held, that he is still the chairman and that he's still in power. So there's a conflict, and unless police immediately step in, we might have some ugliness in our hands. And I think this was just a preventive action by the members of the police force in Abuja to preclude violence or some unsavory behavior of people. Tempers and emotions may still, are still yet to simmer. Therefore, this is a step in the right direction. I listened to Ali Modi Sharif. Ali Modi Sharif, claims to have given a press conference stopping the convention as the national chairman of the party, and it was much, much later that the national convention itself removed him. So there's a legal issue here, and I can assure Nigerians that this matter is still far from being resolved. If I know those who the players are, that I know very well, there will be a legal battle for the soul of this party for the next couple of months.